trophy here for the spring split.
So
Listening, and it's going to go back to the original plan. No changes here for Fnatic. And first pick Sivir. So again, it was one of the options you touched on, Officio. Where did Fnatic go from here?
Well, Thresh, if they want to secure that one, even though they were happy giving it over to the Unicorns of Love, that was when they could get Sivir and Nautilus as a combo from Fnatic's side. Otherwise, I mean, you got the Rumble open in the top lane for Huni, so you can still run this backline snipe with Nautilus, Rumble together. Twisted Fate is there. I mean, there's a lot of options for Fnatic. It's not a massive problem, but I do think it's a very good first pick for Unicorns of Love, as Sivir has been so good at forcing these fights and also kiting back, honestly, if that's the comp you're trying to build. But Fnatic needs to make sure they have enough tools to dive that backline of Unicorns of Love. Otherwise, we're going to see the virus coming in once again, potentially.
10 seconds left on the clock. Fnatic hovering over a champion that was banned all throughout the semi-finals. Freddy has run that Smite teleport Shyvana top. And I'm not entirely sold, but we'll see whether or not Huni can do better with Shyvana than he did with Lee Sin. There is some of the engage, disengage tools from the Gragas, and the ability to dive the backline from Shyvana.
Sure, but not the same kind. And if Hylissang plays Janna, this is the time to pull it out, and then you can run your poke composition, because Shyvana, the way she has to engage is from the flank, jumping with her ulti. That's very predictable. And as a Janna, when you pop your Monsoon, you throw that Shyvana away, and you start kiting her around, and she never really does a whole lot in those fights. It's going to be more about the Gragas than with his ulti. Land that one correctly. So if Unicorns does play Janna, this will be one of the time to do it. Unless they want to run an all-in composition themselves, then you can still go back to that Thresh. You can go for Leona, which has been a pick for Hylissang as well during the split. And maybe an Assassin once again in the mid lane for Power of Evil.
I think it's so important that you do talk about Hylissang on that support. He's the only member of Unicorns of Love that you can say has a smaller champion pool. Everybody else has consistently shown new picks. We will see Sejuani for the first time this series.
Can be an all-in comp.
Pickus in the jungle, Maokai up top. With Morgana banned away, it opens up that very, very point-and-click, easy engage. Who do they round out their team comp with as far as supports go on Unicorns? Because Fnatic could run Janna themselves.
They could run Janna now that they see what Unicorns are building with so much engage, and you can start playing around Shyvana being so good in split push. She's a bit of a counter pick when it comes to winning the one-on-one against Maokai in that sense. So if you run a lot of disengage on your side, you set up that 1-3-1 and you just let Huni go crazy with the Cinderhawk and just let him do all the work. And that's exactly what Fnatic decides to do if they lock in this Janna. And then you have that fast pushing ability of the Jinx, which means whenever Unicorns have to send two guys to try and stop the Shyvana, Jinx will get time to hit a tower and just melt it in a matter of seconds. So Fnatic really building a comp here that's relying on Shyvana getting ahead, and also the Assassin pick we expect in the mid lane from Febiven to be able to sit in the other side lane, and then you have Gragas, Jinx, Janna together. That's so much disengage for an immobile AD carry and so much pressure on a tower. Unicorns of Love need something here that can battle Febiven in the side lanes, or they need enough engage to just always force fights and never allow Fnatic to 1-3-1. That can be another tool for them. They have already the options with Sejuani, with Maokai, with Sivir here. They just need damage, honestly, at this point to be able to just pop the likes of a Jinx and force Fnatic back from the 1-3-1s.
We'll find out if Unicorns do lock in that damage source. Steal back, the only hyper carry he has played has been Jinx. This will be the second time this year. Yellow Star's got a fantastic win-loss on Janna. 5 wins, 1 loss. We'll see whether or not he can continue to disengage against the Unicorns of Love. We had anticipated and theory crafted what Hylissang would lock in. He's going to stick with Thresh. He needs to make those death sentences count. Unicorns, a lot of engage. They do have some scaling in Orianna and some decent mid-game with the Sivir, Maokai, Sejuani. They've got a jack-of-all-trades team composition. They can pick, they can team fight, they can wave clear.
The only thing they can't do is stop a split pusher. Maokai is not going to do anything against Shyvana. Orianna is not going to move to a side lane either and sit and fight against whatever assassin we assume is coming from Febiven. So Fnatic don't really care too much as long as they can avoid Unicorns engaging, but that's going to be the big deal, because in a straight-up 5-on-5 team fight, Unicorns of Love are looking very, very strong. They got great scaling with double tank, Orianna in the late game, even Sivir has good damage in the later stages of the game. So they are drafted a very good 5-on-5 comp. It's gonna need time to scale at first, and then it's gonna rely on Fnatic not starting applying pressure on the side lanes.
Last few seconds on the clock, and Febiven will once again run the Kassadin. It did not result in a victory in the very first game of this series, but Fnatic too have a lot of late game damage.
Yeah, and also good team fight from them. Their themes built on Kassadin makes him very, very strong once it's completed in the fights, especially if you start poking down targets. You can almost count it as a reset for Kassadin by getting a kill on assist with getting mana back. Same goes for the Jinx, getting proc her passive. So for Fnatic here, if they manage to kite back at first when the main engage comes from the Unicorns of Love, we're talking 5-on-5 here, and then just slowly poke them down and see one quick kill, you reset both the AD carry and the Kassadin. And that's where they simply start chasing against the Unicorns and you won't be able to escape. So it's going to be very important the first engage coming in from the Unicorns of Love, that it counts, and that also this Shyvana doesn't get to just run amok in the one-on-one situation and take over your jungle, which is what she can do if she's left on her own.
Well, Huni has to do with Shyvana what he was unable to do with Lee Sin. And the other person that really tried that Shyvana top was Freddy from SK, and he was knocked out yesterday. Lost within the semifinals. I'm still not entirely sold, but we'll need to see if it works out. I know Dentist touched on the analyst desk yesterday as well. The impact of that challenging smite is so seldom seen. These are your team comps for potentially the last time in the European Spring Split Finals. From Madrid, Spain, the Unicorns of Love have their backs against the wall. And we will see if they can contain Fnatic's very, very scary scaling team composition.
Both teams really looking for the late game. Just a few more options for Fnatic in the way they can play out this game, with the likes of Shyvana top and a skirmisher Saber, Kassadin as well in a one-on-one. Once he gets going, it can be very difficult to deal with. So Fnatic definitely has a few more options for Unicorns of Love. It's very simple. It's 5-on-5 team fighting. It's going to be about putting pressure on towers because there's a very low amount of wave clear from Fnatic. Static shift comes in from the Jinx, and that's going to be the main thing, honestly. And her rockets, the Kassadin, it's just not reliable enough when you have to sit close in melee range to clear out these minions with your force pulls. So that's where Unicorns of Love does have an edge. And if the early game does go in their favor, they can really take advantage of it. They like to use Vardax as one of these fast pushers on Sivir. So once he takes his own bottom lane tower, they quickly rotate him to the top or mid lane and go for another one. They don't just leave him in a lane to sit and farm. They use him to get a global goal, a global advantage.
We'll find out if they can get those advantages to Fischer. We do see Vizicachi starting out with that traditional sapling start near the Razorbeak camp. And I know it's very early in the game, but I do want to remind everybody, Power of Evil's Orianna is the reason Unicorns of Love are in the finals. In Game 5 against SK, he stole that Baron with a well-timed shockwave. And he will need to replicate that level of performance.
Not sure if they saw Huni at all. Then now Hylissang is spotting them, seeing they were trying to steal a blue buff, and they're going to match the swap here from Fnatic and get the 2v2 lane. Huni still does not want to let this blue buff go. He has smite, remember. And with yellows out there, he should. Oh, it just reset.
That reset continues to reset. There's an example of that soft leash cap. 5 times you can pull it out before it decides to go back.
That's enough.
Chill. Now keep in mind, when Huni was playing Lee Sin, he had a number of very good early game starts. This time around it's been thwarted.
Yeah, this is a very bad thing for him because we saw the Maokai do the Raptor cam and get level 2, so Huni's gonna teleport down, being a level behind and not gain any advantage from the early game.
And on top of that, we're gonna see Kikis move over to his blue buff, considering he's got his duo up top. Should be able to secure that one as well.
Yeah,
so
just
Kikis,
a standard route for him.
Nothing too out of the ordinary. We'll see how well Huni can bring himself back in. Look at that bottom lane. 12-0 and the level advantage. Huni gonna have a difficult time against an opponent who's 2 lanes above.
Gonna have to wait for the minion to hit his tower before he gets anything at all. Reignover has done a very good job with his early ganks, even on the likes of a Gragas, who of course has so much CC. Now, he's going to force at least a flash up here, but everything goes correctly.
Kikis is going to be late to this one. Rainover is low, but it doesn't matter. Hylissang is going to be forced to flash in a moment. 100 hit points as he goes back. Now Kikis has joined the fight. Vardak's at a lot of HP. Kikis flash for flash. Trades with Steelback and Summoner spells blown. It is a jungle plus support from UOL and a jungle plus AD carry from Fnatic. We'll see whether or not Steelback can be punished for not having that utility or that mobility Summoner spell.
Yeah, definitely hurt Steelback quite a lot. And also because he took at least a little bit of damage from this trade. The wave was already pushing down to his tower. He is slightly behind in CS, which honestly is standard for the Fnatic dual lane, but so is it for Vardax. It's two of the dual lanes who's not been doing well in terms of farming, if we look at the other games they've played in the UOL CS, but they've always showed up, especially the AD carries, when it comes to team fights and cleaning house. That's really where they have shined, both of them.
They have, and Steelback has improved in the playoffs thanks to the fact that Huni's struggled with all those bans in the semi-final. But something I touched on in PTL is the fact that Steelback and Vardax were 9th and 10th in the LCS for damage dealt for your respective team. These are two guys that are oftentimes carried through the early stages of the game by their supports. And then as you rightly touched on, and as we've said many, many times on Split, it is their teamfight positioning that allows them to play the janitor role, cleaning house from whatever mess their solo laners and junglers seem to have created.
Yeah, let's look at the rest of the map here. Power Evil had to not go for his Chalice, no real surprise for him, and he's not really able to get much of a CS late against a Kassan with Flask and 3 potions. It's just going to be a bit of a farm fest, but where you know that Kassan is going to sit under his own towers. He doesn't really have any pressure on any lanes, but with double Cinderhawk jungler, that doesn't do a whole lot for them, and Unicorns can't really take too much advantage of it. Therefore, we have some sort of a passive farming early game, where it's about the junglers, where they decide to gank. Second one for Rainover's in the bottom lane.
I really like that play. Huni stepping on the sapling, make sure Rainover can get in safe, but I don't know if Chachi's going to push up far enough. Body slam, I don't think it connected with Chachi. Hit the melee minions, and this is Chachi's going to be able to back away. And healing from his passive, healing him up. Flay lands on the death sentence. The Flay pulls him back, the death sentence does not connect. Vardax will take a couple auto attacks from Steelback, and at the end of the day, the trade seems to be relatively even. Yellow Star's running low on mana.
Yeah, but you also have to look at what they have left here. Potion is still there for Vardax, so he can keep taking some trades with the Jinx, and even though he maybe slightly loses it, he has the potion then to get HP back, and that's going to force Steelback back to his. What they're trying to do is get him to back before he has a BF sword, and that worked, because he's recalling now.
Look at this could be 2-on-1. Featherman does have Riftwalk though, and Flash. Being able to take some damage. Power Weaver holding on to the Shockwave. It looks like he manages to kill that Razorbeak. This is going to clear out the ward thanks to the buff.
Very good advantage though for Unicorns of Love in that 2v2 lane, because now they have enough gold on Vardax to get that BF sword to just a pickaxe from Steelback. So once they go back to the 2v2 lane, once they see them on the bottom side, they're going to go down and meet them. They can push that one in. And as we talked about, Unicorns of Love like to use Vardax, once he gets an early tower, to quickly rotate in between the lanes and just keep pushing them in. Kassadin does not have any way of defending his tower against 3 guys. So if Unicorns of Love put a lot of focus on the bottom side, where they will be stronger due to this BF sword on Vardax, they can get down that tower and then get to the mid lane, and that's how they want to create the lead, which they so desperately, or not desperately, honestly, they have a good comp, which they want.
They want. Actually, you know what? I think it's fair to say desperate, because they're one game away from being eliminated from the playoffs. But I do want to just highlight again, Hylissang landing that death sentence before Rainover came in to gank. How impactful that has been. Even in the 3v2, you know, summoner spells were blown. Steelback and Yellowstar unable to get that early kill. Hylissang has bought time for Vardax to farm himself up to now the AD damage advantage. Huni with an aggressive invade. He's going to smite away that wolf camp, something that you can do and consistently we'll see him doing.
Yeah.
That top lane Shyvana.
He's also expecting Kikis to be on the bottom side of the map with that dual lane. Also has so many early wards, so they have pretty good information on the jungler. Also smiting the wolves gives them that extra vision in the jungle against the Unicorns of Love. He's still behind in CS. This is all from level 1, where he was denied that blue buff, TP'd down as level 1, and already fallen like 6 or 7 CS behind. Some of them were the small Raptors for Visichachi. And now Vardax and Hylissang as expected, already pushing in. Get some damage on this tower every single time. What Hylissang can do then, just position himself slightly behind Vardax, and in case a gank happens, you can always lantern him and just pull him to safety. And then you can get a few hits every time. And here's Kikis as well.
We did see Yellow Star just dodge that death sentence, sidestep away. Kikis with the Glacial Prison, looking to set something up. Walk straight over Fnatic ward though, so yes, they've cleared the second bush, but Fnatic well aware of his position. Look at Huni getting bullied away by Vizicachi. Level advantage, farm advantage, all that HP on mana. Febiven, very good trade in the middle lane in fact. Putting some damage into Power People's Orianna.
One of the problems for this top lane Shyvana is you need to get your Skirmisher Saber, you need to get that Cinder Hulk before you really can take advantage of your Smite. So in the early trades, it's been so heavily in favor of Vizicachi, and he's using it, forcing a TP. So if Dragon gets started by the Unicorns of Love, they have everything needed to secure it. Potential TP, stronger AD carry, and the bottom lane consistently being pushed in. They're starting it here. If Fnatic goes down to contest it, they will end up dying, or at least be forced to flash away. They should be able to stop them, and Unicorns will get it.
You definitely prefer... Oh, the Shockwave connects onto Febiven, but that magic shield blocks so much of it. Dragon number 1 secured by Unicorns of Love. Vizicachi jumps on the Huni in the top lane. Dragon's Descent available, but not needed. Huni did pick up that Cinder Hulk on his last back, so he's in a good position. Quickly take a look at Power of Evil. He gets caught out by Rainover. Rainover's got the Explosive Cask available, and here comes Febiven. This is going to be first blood. Febiven secures it with the Null Sphere. Then they turn their attention to Kikis. We do see the body slap. Hylissang's coming into support. Glacial Prison connects with 2. The Death Sentence connects on Febiven. The Yellow Star flashes over the wall, throws up the Tornado to keep them alive. Here comes Chachi. He's looking for a target. He's found it. Now we can turn to Rainover. Does not manage to connect to the Arcane Smash, but Kikis, can he ride that Poro in? Chachi's going to decide to back away, and I think that was wise. Unicorns of Love, even the first blood with a kill of their own. 1 to Kassadin, 1 to Maokai.
Yeah, 1 to Kassadin is important. Look at Chachi here, not going back to defend his top lane tower. Wanted to force this bottom lane so they can now take Vardax to the mid lane instead. See if they can get another tower. What Fnatic can do as a response is you put the Kassadin on the bottom side there to just sit and try and farm, and you take Steelback and Yellowstar in the mid lane to try and hold them off in the 2v2. If they don't do that, Unicorns should be able to secure another tower fairly easily in that mid lane. First step is going back and then defending the wave coming into a tier 1 bottom though from Unicorns.
See if they can follow that step-by-step process. But for Unicorns, good start. Despite giving up first blood, they thwarted Huni's invade. They did well in the 2v2. We still yet to see Vardax backing. Despite him securing that bottom lane tower, we do see Rainover hovering around. And Hylissang roaming to that middle lane, anticipating some potential aggression. We've also not seen Steelback back for a while. So we'll need to see how the itemization difference plays out.
He's just waiting for that BF sword. So you kind of have to put you in such an annoying situation if you go back the first time without 1550. You simply just get forced to play so much more passive and sit back. Chachi here, he might get collapsed on. A lot of members from Fnatic coming in as he's trying to clear that buff. Notice how everyone from the Unicorns is around the mid lane. Steelback isn't here. He's the only one who's going to offer any decent sort of wave there together with the Gragas. Rainover is now in position to let the barrel sit for a while to get proper damage. But
well, this looks like it should be an uncontested tower to officiate.
Yeah.
Although Fnatic, they are relatively close by. This Descent is available. Where's the cast from Rainover?
Gotta kill that tower.
Death Sentence connects. Tower does go down. Huni does not actually get caught by the flame. Looking for the Shockwave. That's a prison into Shockwave. 3 members of Fnatic lose their HP bars. We do see Huni being chased down. Their command protect onto Kikis as Unicorns of Love are chasing them. Super Mega Death Rocket is not enough. And Fnatic lose 3 members as Unicorns get a tower in the kills.
And Sheepy as a coach can be so happy. Unicorns of Love did everything right here. They followed the plan, take bot tower, then we go mid versus the Kassadin. We took that tower and got the perfect fight right after. Notice how they're still focusing it even though Fnatic is jumping in. So to take it down, now it's an even fight. Shyvana, Salty doesn't manage to hit anything, and 3 guys together. Kikis gets them, Power of Evil gets them, and now it's in the favor of Unicorns. They're also here with 5 members way before Steelback even joined. And that was just perfect, and that's how you get a goal lead. When your AD carry gets a better back timing than the other ones, and you're against the likes of a Kassadin.
What a fantastic fight for the Unicorns of Love. 3-0-1. Righteous Glory completed for Vizicachi. He can single out anybody that he wants. And Fnatic are now the ones down on gold. Fnatic is now the team that has to pull this game back. For Unicorns, they do have an outer turret to set their sights on in the top lane. Unicorns rather, Timo wanted to say, as you can see Hylissang and Vardags positioning up top.
That also stops Huni from invading into the jungle, taking some of these camps. So once all outer turrets are gone, that's where Shyvana can struggle, because if you push her into her own tier 2 tower and you start warding up the enemy jungle, she never gets the option to counter jungle, and you can keep her in check. And she needs a lot of time with the Cinderhawk to scale up and become really, really powerful. And she has some sort of a weird scaling, because her damage right now is fine, but then her damage late game goes down quite a lot, but she becomes really, really tanky. She just struggles when it comes to getting into the fights then, unless she gets the right flank, because you can always see her, you know she's gonna ulti in towards you. You can even flay her back with Hylissang if he times it correctly.
They want Febiven. That's 3 members of Unicorns of Love.
He jumped right. No, he didn't.
Glory is available. It's only rank 1 on that Rift Walk. It's still 5 or 6 seconds. Cooldown. He does manage to make his way out. Unicorns of Love unable to find the target. They do get that top tower as Vardags is left uncontested. And look at the numbers. Unicorns now moving on to the inner turret. Steelback is 1.5 years away. He's not going to be in place to defend.
They're going to go for another one. There's no response. The jungle has just been warded up. The Shyvana's been pushed back. And Fnatic are trying their best to hold the tower. They will defend it for now. If the Unicorns stay around, they can just follow in with the next wave, because Steelback is still quite far away from this bottom lane. Chachi is going back to catch it. He has teleport ready. Worst case, always have to respect the Jinx if he gets onto that tower.
So no mistakes from Unicorns. They do not dive. They do not misplay the siege. And when Fnatic were able to defend the inner turret, defensive peel away. Unicorns are 4K gold up at 15 minutes. Infinity Edge finished for Vardags. Athenes and Sork Shoes for Power of Evil. Febiven still stacking that Rod of Ages. Only had it for a couple minutes. And we'll need to see how long it'll take Febiven to become relevant in this game.
A long time.
As well as that Shyvana, again, a top lane smite champion in the EU LCS. The early game was thwarted, and as you've touched on in terms of tankiness and damage, and we'll need to see who he throws that challenging smite onto. I just don't like it, Division.
I can hear that. I can hear that. Well, he's starting to get some good trades with Chachi. He does have that % damage and the challenging smite with the true damage as well for himself. So that's good. That's what they can play around still from Fnatic's side. They just gotta worry about the other lanes, because look at the Unicorns here. By leaving Chachi on his own, if they want to send 2 or 3 guys to kill him from Fnatic, well, they open up either mid or bottom lane. And that's gonna go down because there are 4 guys here. No wave clear yet, no static shift. Steelback needs quite a lot of time before he can take down the waves with the rockets. And Unicorns Love always looking to just chip away on these towers. Huni will get a top tower. That's good for Fnatic.
Still sticking around bottom. Vizicachi's got teleports available. He's going to start using it onto the siege minion.
Whoa, Rainover.
Trying to defend this tower. Rainover gets a little bit caught out. That's a flash death sentence that does not connect. Flay pulls Rainover back. Look at Febiven. Shockwave does not manage to get anywhere. The Glacial Prison does. We do see Vizicachi going forward. The Vengeful Maelstrom does get a good pop onto people. The Power of Evil's low on mana. Keep your eyes on Vardags. He's got a lot of damage and a lot of HP. He manages to get the first kill onto Febiven. Now landing auto attack after auto attack. The half dragon Wyvern Huni is trying to run down Unicorns.
Another one!
That's another one. It's Power of Evil. Gets the mana back thanks to the Athenes of Holy Grail. Kickers flashes forward, and thanks to the attack and dissonance, it's Power of Evil that gets the 8th kill of the game for the Unicorns of Love. And with 4 members down, they set the sights on the inhibitor turret.
We could see what Fnatic tried to do here. They wanted the TP from Shyvana behind and then start a fight under the tower. But it was just Rainover on his own, and the Unicorns of Love, after failing to get a kill at first, they just kite back, and Hylissang with the hooks. Notice the way he catches Febiven first. and then the Gragas later. So look at this here. Reynova, he's going to try and fight on the tower because they know Huni's going to TP in. He's going back to base at first, so it's a little bit too early for Fnatic, and they take a lot of damage for it. Here's the TP behind. If you look at your minimap, near the blue buff, Shockwave missed completely from Power of Evil, and now Unicorns realize, okay, we have to suddenly start kiting back. We have to respect the Shyvana, who's been diving our backline. Look at Hylissang, catches February. That's kill number 1. And Vardax keep jumping around. Shyvana can't really get onto him. The rest of Fnatic can't do anything either. Second hook from Hylissang coming in after the kill onto Huni. He even pulls a Grump. That's swag if you get Grump and a Gragas. Look at that Grump running around.
Oh my word, Deficio used the word swag. Unicorns of Love are infecting even mild-mannered Deficio. 8-1, 7,000 gold.
My jacket is too big anyway, I gotta say something.
4 towers to 1. And the Unicorns, they want to make it 5 games. They still need to close it out. They still need to push through to the Nexus.
Look at
But
Huni here.
if they do, it will be semi-finals, 3rd place, and finals all going to 5.
They're gonna set up a trap. February and Huni together in a tree, fighting. Can they get him down?
Well, Vengeful Maelstrom is ticking away. Vizicachi does not have flash, and
It's a no. And now your mid lane is in trouble because 4 guys from Unicorns are once again pushing. They're so happy just leaving Vizicachi as bait and being like, you just sit there in the side lane, and if they come and kill you, well, we instantly respond by pushing. February is gonna see if he can come in from the side. No TP for Huni, no ulti either.
Got Boots, he's running quite
It is enough
quickly.
though to force them away.
I'll take a look. Vizicachi continues to push down that bottom lane. The rest of Fnatic have defended their inner turret. We've just crossed 20 minutes. For the 4th time today, the control has swung. Hylissang, swing and a miss. He's unable to find Reynova.
That's the joy when you build cooldown reduction in Thresh. Doesn't matter if you miss 10, they're up again in just a matter of a few seconds. For him now, he's just hit the 30% cooldown reduction. So 8.4 seconds cooldown on his Q. If he lands it, it goes down to another 3 seconds. So you can spam that away, and whenever you connect it, you can make sure the Unicorns will try and follow up and at least get some poke down with it.
Well, we will find out. Look at Kikis. He's looking for a Glacial Prison. If anyone from Fnatic groups up, he's jumped onto Reynova. Explosive Cask has been used to push Unicorns away. Huni does not have Dragon's Descent yet. We do see Vardax melting his HP. The Shockwave pulls Huni and Yellow Star as it's Huni that gets dropped. Unicorns stun up, steal back. Where's the death sentence? Will Hylissang be able to connect? He's looking to wind it up. He throws it and the answer will be no, as the Unicorns of Love will take the inner turret. Deficio, no team in the European LCS has bounced back from a 5,000 gold deficit at 20 minutes, and Fnatic were 7,000 gold down at 20 minutes. Unicorns, they're onto the inhibitor turrets.
I just love the way they played around Vardax on this Sivir. Chachi even teleported down, sacrificing his own top tower just to get the bottom lane so they could start moving between the lanes. Get full control, get the goal lead, get the item advantage. And we have seen 1 missed shockwave from Power of Evil, the rest has been spot on. 5 kills for him. Kick is on this Sejuani as well. This is a pick he could have taken so many times where he went either for jungle Gnar or Udyr in the last game where Sejuani would have fit in so well. I didn't even think he was playing it. And now he pulls it out. 9 assists out of 10 kills. Landed multiple ultis. I'm a fan of the Sejuani.
Especially when Kikis is landing such great Glacial Prisons. Unicorns of Love, super minions at 20 minutes. Steelback has got no attack speed increase, no critical hit. It is going to take so long for Fnatic members to deal with those supers in the middle lane. It should allow Unicorns to have the pick of the litter of whatever objective they want to set their sights on. And we'll see what they decide. For the time being, it looks to be Dragon, and I think that's a smart call.
Take a Dragon first, and then you want that last outer turret in the top lane, and you also want the Baron pressure for them. So the goal should now be to take over that topside jungle, push in the last tier 2, and also tell Fnatic that if you can't see us for a while, expect us to be on that Baron, and you have to come and face check us, as we've seen time and time again. And you just throw that ulti from Kikis, and you start a fight on Fnatic. So by them moving up here, they have to go into the jungle. See what other wards they have. I would have liked a ping or 2 more from Unicorns of Love. They have to go for it. Trevor, kiss me. All right, back to the game.
It's not that kissing you makes me laugh that much. It's just I really did not expect that, Deficio.
For everyone watching, he did do it. He did do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can tell we have some NBA fans and NFL fans in the production team because that's the kiss cam on most American sports shows. We now have it in Madrid, Spain for the LCS Spring Split Finals. Unicorns gonna start knocking on the inner turret in the top lane. I'm sorry, I don't know how to follow that Deficio. Oh, right, let's get serious. Unicorns have got numbers in the top. That was an explosive cast used from Reynova. Everybody sidestepped. The Featherman eats a hook from Hillisang. That's going to reset the cooldown. Riftwalk goes in, but Chachi catches Featherman. Shockwave goes up, pulling Hootie backward. This could be the game-winning fight. Death Sentence doesn't connect, but it doesn't need to. The Unicorns are going to peel backwards, look for the turret. Super minions pouring through on the middle lane. Once that gets to the Nexus, keep in mind, Unicorns can start taking down any other objective. Steelback throws up the Super Mega Death Rocket, and he snipes down Vardags. That is the turret killing machine down. Good positioning from Steelback to get himself some kills on the board. We do see the Unicorns now peeling. Explosive cast not there, but Vizichachi goes for a long-range twisted advance. Vizichachi now being hammered on from Steelback, but there's not a lot of damage. He's relying on an Avarice Blade and an Infinity Edge only. Despite losing Vardags, Unicorns get the turret, and they start to knock down the next piece of Fnatic's base.
We just have to say it, flawless game from the Unicorns of Love. And they did the same against SK Gaming in Game 1 and Game 3. It was near perfect for them. I believe even won the games. They didn't even give a single kill to SK Gaming. So when this team gets a good start, they really seem to know, okay, where do we move next? How do we take advantage of this situation? This game, they showed it perfectly. And Fnatic, after having their Hecarim game in Game 3, after running with so much hard engage beforehand, they changed it up with the Shyvana pick top lane. It was very clear what the strategy was. They wanted the option of either 1-3-1 with Shyvana top lane or also just have a strong late game team fight. They just never got there because of a disadvantage, first of all, in the bottom lane. Honestly, also for Huni, with not getting that blue buff. So side lanes fell behind. Kassadin could only sit in his lane and farm and not really do anything. It's just a matter of time before he was going to be the next target. And then Unicorns just outplayed Fnatic in team fights.
Well, they'll have more outplay potential as Vizichachi's got teleports available and he's pushing down the bottom lane. We touched on how Maokai's not going to be able to deal with a split push threat from Fnatic. But Maokai is the split push threat.
I mean, when you're 10k gold ahead, you don't really care about that one. Fnatic tried to kill him a few times, but every time they did, Unicorns were just in position to get a tower somewhere, and it backfired completely. Now, they're gonna
here comes
go for the
Reynova.
flank.
That was a well-timed teleport as Vizichachi has managed to get in. We do see both Vardags and Power of Evil focusing down the inhibitor. Dragon's Descent is available, but On the Hunt gets thrown out. The Righteous Glory as well. Unicorns of Love have done enough to push Fnatic away from the objective, and I think they got what they wanted. Super Minions now pushing up top lane, and outside of the Sivir ultimate, they still have a lot to work with. Glacial Prism from Kikis, where will it go? Huni, a defensive run. Featherman and Huni both get caught out. Sapling lands for touchdown. Yellowstar with a super early monsoon. We do see the Shockwave connecting onto Reynova, but you know what? When you get him down, you can get another inhibitor. Unicorns of Love are pushing another playoff best of 5 to the 5th game. We have never had playoffs this exciting. And there is no way to predict what these teams will do in another 5th game deciding match.
It's just a perfect story here. Unicorns and Fnatic against each other in Madrid in front of so many people.
Hillisang! Vizichachi catches Featherman out. He goes down once more. Power of Evil and the Unicorns of Love will drop the fan favorite Huni. Take down their 3rd inhibitor. And set their sights onto the Nexus turrets. 0-0-15. James Bond 007 ain't half as good as Hylissang. And the Unicorns of Love take us to Game 5, ladies and gentlemen. The European LCS Spring Split is going the distance.
It's just insane. I mean, we go Game 5. Between these two teams, I don't even know what's going to happen anymore. So last time Fnatic went blue side, that was the Hecarim first pick. That's not going to happen again, by the way. It's not going to be a Rek'Sai ban. It's going to be Hecarim. And Unicorns might try and run somewhat the same style here. If they can get the same advantage in the laning phase. This was individual performance, and then it turned into teamwork after from them.
Do the Unicorns of Love surprise everybody and do something weird and wacky and wonderful?
You don't have to just play
on
standard.
red side. They have counter pick.
Yes, but you don't have to suddenly pull out a Teemo.
Do you think they will?
It doesn't have to be that crazy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because it's Unicorns of Love. But you have shown in a standard setup, no jungle Gnar when Sejuani is open, and you play like this if your kick is. Aim for that kind of comp. You don't have to surprise because you are a great, great team playing normal as well.
Near flawless execution from Unicorns of Love in Game 4. Their backs against the wall, a loss. We've got them second place, but now Unicorns and Fnatic. One more match to figure out who will be crowned the Spring Split champion. We're going to find out from our analysts what they thought of Game 4 and pulling it all the way to the end.
I thought you were going to say we're going to find out from an analyst who's going to win. Who knows? But you know what? We had expected it. We should have expected it. A Game 5 in this series. And I like to go on what the Fischio said. You don't have to pick anything out of the ordinary when you can pick something that makes such great team fights and you play them so perfectly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Unicorns did. They pulled out the greatest cheese that they could have possibly pulled out. To quote a very famous StarCraft caster, sometimes if you go the standard way, that's the greatest cheese. So no one expected the Unicorns to go standard. They picked it. They picked meta champions. They picked a composition that made just sense for own team fight, objective control. They played it out perfect, nothing at all, nothing out of the ordinary, just standard picks, standard performance, and they beat Fnatic. It was just
standard
incredible.
Game 5.
Yeah, and it worked really well together. Like, they played it really well as a team. I was keeping track of the kill participation. The last team fight, I wasn't able to check out the numbers, but for almost the entire game, it was 90% plus for the entire team. Everyone was contributing to all of the kills. There was no standout individual performance. It was just Unicorns of Love stepping up and playing great. They moved around the map well. They gave very little to Fnatic. They had very few kills at the end of the game, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, you do mention it was an individual skill that mattered, but I feel like if you're going to pick a comp where you have to hit those team fights perfectly, you do have a lot of trust in yourself and your individual capabilities, especially going into a game where you could possibly be eliminated from the playoffs.
Especially after the games they had before.
Yeah.
Game 2 and 3, they were, for the Unicorns, horrible. They tried some stuff out, something that they tried before, and it failed. So the mentality that they go into this game has to be, oh guys, if we lose this game, we're out, the season is over. What do we do now? And then you have to have the nerves to pull out the standard composition and win the whole thing. Vivi Chachi is a player I want to point out especially. He played Irelia, he got camped like crazy. He fell out 0-5, 0-6, gave up like 10 kills in that game. And now he pulls off a perfect Maokai performance just out of nowhere. You have to have those nerves to play a 5-game series.
Yeah, and in the elimination game, like you were saying, some coaches and some players like to suggest that when your backs are against the wall, you play something that's hard to mess up. They played Sejuani, Orianna, Thresh. Very skill shot dependent. You're in that high pressure moment, and they were hitting everything. That was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, just ask Smithy. You can miss those Sejuani ults, but Kiki's didn't. Let's pull a replay up on the screen where, as you said, they just made everything happen and they did it perfectly. And when you have a combo like that, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, so they're in here on the mid siege on the first tier tower, and they're grouped up, and Fnatic is not in the right position. So if we can run this replay here, they're just trying to break down this tower. They're pushing up to make sure they can get to the zone, and Gregus has no E, he has no more mobility left. They land the hook, kite back on Huni, and here comes the Glacial Prison into the Shockwave. Just so beautiful, does so much damage, locks up the team with the CC. They have no time to respond, and Fnatic just has to get out of here. But it's going to be too late. The run down onto Huni, and just the teamwork and everything that UOL is doing here is just so good. I just love watching this.
Oh, it's a sight for sore eyes on that hit.
Yeah, up until this point, the game was totally open, and then they suddenly decided to siege the mid lane turret. And if I, as a coach, had to paint a mid lane siege with that composition, that's how it looked like.
Exactly
It was
like
just
that.
exactly.
Yeah. It was beautiful indeed, and Power of Evil now on the Orianna, something again that was a little bit more scaling. You wanted to extend on that a little bit because he hit a lot of shockwaves this time around, and it was really nice to see.
He missed like 1 out of 15 or something. That was just an amazing. I didn't count either. It was just like a close to perfect performance on that Orianna. And that's one thing that we really have to point out. Power of Evil is a known assassin player. He's known for playing Syndra. He's known for playing LeBlanc. He's known for playing Ahri.
Not lately, though.
Not lately, though, and that's the point I want to point out here. Because suddenly you have to think about the possibility to ban out those late-game damage control champions for him. He's not only banned on the Syndra, but now you have to take into consideration if you ban the Orianna or the Kog'Maw, something that we haven't seen today and he can pull out any day.
Yeah, he has shown the flexibility going on throughout the playoffs and towards the later end of the season that he's able to play the champions that his team asks him to play. And he is an experienced Orianna player. He has many games of solo queue played in Orianna, and it shows. He's able to bring Orianna into his team play, into the LCS finals, and put on an amazing performance.
Yeah, and you should usually argue when you know that the player has such a big champion pool, it's not worth banning out. Fnatic sticking with their same 3 bans, Cassiopeia, Morgana, and Annie throughout the entire series. Do you need an adaptation from them there, or is that not working?
Absolutely. Like the top lane Smite Shyvana was something that hasn't worked out. I believe that Huni is not the player to pull out that composition. It has to work. Like I said it in the semifinals, they have to have some scrim results where it worked out perfectly for them, so they still stick to it. But in this case, it just didn't work. He got bullied around by a Maokai in lane, and that's something that should not happen in this situation if you want to make an impact on the game. And once they were grouped up, Shyvana had no impact on the teamfight as well because he was just ulting into a shockwave, and that's something that you don't want to do, no matter what you do. The Hecarim works for him, the Rumble works for him.
The Rumble, that was open here.
The Vladimir works for him.
Yep.
Why do you pick the Shyvana top lane with this Smite tactic? I don't see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I want to see him return to more of those styles of champions. That fits Huni's play style a bit better. And yeah, if I think maybe Fnatic looking at the next game, I think they should move away from the Shyvana.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to go with, giving Huni the pointers to maybe go on that Vlad, go on Hecarim. Let's kind of look to a couple of other lanes because we talk so much about Power of Evil and Huni in the top lane, and Reignover as a jungler. He is so central to that, but here he wasn't able to put it down. I do feel like he could still be the absolute key in the next game, get those pressure down on the right lanes because that's also what got them rolling before.
Reignover was the key element of the Fnatic wins in game 2 and 3. He was the one putting on that early pressure and just controlling the vision control, controlling the pace of the game, setting up his lanes and bringing them ahead, which ultimately led to the Fnatic team winning those team fights. In this game, he wasn't able to have such a big impact because you have those lanes who are fairly hard to gank. So if you pick a Maokai top lane with a Shyvana, you have no follow-up CC in the lane itself, so you can't gank it that easy. He tried to gank a couple of times and Maokai just walked out. That's something maybe you have to adapt. Like maybe try to focus the mid lane, maybe try to focus the bot lane, make some bot lane.
Febiven, last week's MVP, try and get him ahead maybe.
Yeah, and the jungler is generally the one that influences the most in the early game. It's your jungler that's going to put you ahead. Usually your jungler also going to, or the enemy jungler is going to put your team behind as well. And even though Reignover is known as a strong carry early game jungler, he just wasn't able to make it connect this game. And when they moved into the mid game or the early mid game, it was the teamwork out of UOL that was able to surpass the teamwork of Fnatic.
Yeah, just too crisp of a team play out of UOL, but Fnatic not out of this one yet by any means. I'm not going to ask you to predict anything. We're just going to see. It's all coming down to game 5 to decide who walks away as the Spring Split champion. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.
Descendants connects, tower does go down. Huni does not actually get caught by the flame. Looking for the shockwave. That's a blizzard into shockwave. 3 members of Fnatic lose their HP bomb.
Nice. Nice. Go down.
We can push.
Exactly what we got for boys. But Chachi catches Febiven. Shockwave goes up, pulling Huni back, but this could be the game-winning fight and set their sights onto the Nexus turret. 0-0-15. James Bond 007 ain't half as good as Hylissang. And the Unicorns of Love take us to Game 5.